Hi, Steve. Oh, I'm tired. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm tired. I'm tired because I've spent many hours today trying to make a video. I had an idea of what I was gonna make that video on, and I just couldn't make it. I can't explain it. I kept stuttering, I kept losing my train of thought, and I just kind of found it impossible to make this video. And I'm inclined to blame that on the fact that I'm making this video without a script, because my last video I made did have a script, but I didn't like how it came out. But I don't think that's really the cause of my failure. The way I feel is really kind of that the idea I had for a video, which I'm not going to try and explain now because I couldn't explain it before, why would I be able to explain it now, just wasn't something that I was really able to translate from the language of my brain into the language I speak. And that sort of experience is kind of common with people. Like, one thing you'll hear people say a lot is, oh, it sounded better in my head, right? And I'm not sure if we can chalk it up to pure incompetence when people can't say something that sounded better in their head. Because language has legitimate limits. Like, one thing you'll hear talked about with some frequency is this, like, kind of body of words and phrases that exist in some languages and can't really be translated to other languages. An example which comes to mind for me is the English word esoteric, which does not have an equivalent in a lot of languages. Now, esoteric means anything that's not likely to be understood by more than a few people. And there are a lot of languages that don't have a lot of English or Germanic or Latin influence to them, where if you try to translate esoteric, you'll get a word that's more like mysterious or obscure. And neither of those two words really express what esoteric means. Another example is the French phrase l'esprit de l'escalier, which I can't pronounce, but it translates roughly in English to the wit of the staircase. And what that in turn means is the thing you should have said a little while ago when you were having a conversation earlier, but you just thought of it now. And I kind of interpret it as being like, you're climbing the staircase back up to your apartment, and you're like, oh, because the wit of the staircase. But see, it takes so much more time to explain in English what that really means, whereas in French there's just this one simple phrase to describe it. And it's a little sad to me how we still haven't come up with a system of communication that can actually just accurately describe any aspect of the human condition. Like, it's just such a constant and common frustration being unable to say how you really feel at any given moment. And one way we sort of get around that is with poetry. Poems are often thought of as being a way to express things that can't be said frankly, that you have to work around it with figurative language and imagery and whatever. That's cool. It's kind of a new way of thinking about poetry for me, is just a way to hack through the limitations of language. It might also be kind of why poetry doesn't often translate well between languages. Like, no, you can't translate a poem to this language. It's meant to express something in this language. If you want to express the same thing in the other language, then you have to write a poem in that language, because poems are ways to get past the limitations of specific languages. I don't really have a cogent thesis here, but at least I was able to vomit words for a few minutes, so maybe I can get a good video out of this. Anyway, I'm excited to see what you have for next week, Steve. Bye.